Lug took her to a place a bunch of swans were being kept, and they sat on the bank of the river. He was still reading her story, but stopped as they watched the swans floating down the river at the same time. There were so many of them, and they looked so peaceful. A swan meant the need to act on her ideas and ask loved ones to help. It also said dreaming about a swan swimming might represent joy, happiness, and contentment in her future. When she looked up, he was waiting. "You know, it's a pretty boring story," he said. "To write about a girl getting her heart broken, I mean," Lug said. "But you tell it in a really interesting way, and most people can relate. This is really good." Then he pulled something out of his sack. The pelt lining of his coat turned outward as he dug through his mesh bag. They were still sitting on the bank, but by this time, most of the swans were downstream. "Here it is," he said. "I fixed many special weapons, but this one is not a typical weapon. It belonged to my aunt. When she was defeated in battle, her torque took the dragon's spirit with it. I see the warrior spirit in you too, and the strength to finish your journey." Luke put the torque around Laine's neck. "It's a necklace," Laine said. "An amulet. Your faith has been tested like pure gold, put in the fire, and proven pure. There always comes a reward with faith testing," he said. "So continue to clear lots of ground and expand your hopes." It seemed like all her fears were vanishing with each step forward. She called on the power of the dragon to stand up against her enemies and conquer any challenges head-on. Obstacles could be blazed away with ease as she blazed a trail towards her goals. She might think some things were too hard, but it was surprising how her alignment added to her transcendence of these events. When the class was giving her a hard time, she imagined she was a butterfly flying out the open window, leaving them all shocked. Then she remembered. There were 2 types of torque with the same spelling. Or had she made that up? There was the battle torque, the kind Cuchulain had when he lost control. And there was this one, like the choker necklace made of metal, that they made in ancient times. The war frenzy was similar to the kind the Viking berserkers displayed, where they were said to take on the form of animals during battle. Laine thought she'd heard it referred to as battle torque, and the torque necklace as something worn for pure ornament. But who knew? Maybe they were related. Cuchulain had lost his temper. But Cuchulain wasn't the only one who had a temper. She had to be careful, even when she was being tested. After all, patience was a critical skill of a great leader when she was being stretched beyond her limits. In the same way Cuchulain could attack his enemies, she could attack the day. The trick was to outsmart the day and her own limiting beliefs. It was slow and painful to get momentum building, but it got easier as the day went on. She'd find solace in her routine, even when needing a break once in a while. When given a gift, it was best to say thank you graciously. Laine learned even if it came in the form of a compliment. She felt too overcome to speak. It wasn't that she needed his approval, but it was amazing someone so prestigious could see the gifts and potential within her. "This is so new," he said. She knew she was supported, but kept quiet anyway. Acqua in bocco, non dire niente a nessuno, silenzio, which meant she should stay as low-key as possible, even if she had a job that depended on being in the limelight. "Is it made of iron?" she asked, rotating the torque in her hand, but this was unlike any she had seen. It was so intricate. Some experts believe that an interruption in the trade route may have caused a deficiency of copper or tin used to make bronze around this time. It said that metalsmiths, as a result, may have vied for iron as an alternative. "No one can destroy iron, but its own rust can," Lug said. "Likewise, no one can destroy a person, but their own mindset can." Laine was most impressed that Lug did not think he was better than anyone. He stood up over her left shoulder, and she looked up at him. He had his hands behind his back, and was now looking at the sky. She didn't think anyone would be interested in what a small-town girl had to say, but it turned out she was wrong. She'd come a long way, ignoring discouraging words. But she couldn't forget how much support she had along the way. They were talking when Cuchulain came out. He was holding a clay beaker of liquid. "I finished Gay Bolga," Lug said.